Hello everybody, and welcome to Yoshi1 Kenobi's review of JumpStart from an economical perspective. In other words, how do we farm this set to optimally get access to all the copies of the mythic rares and rares that we want for our historic decks. So first, let's try to understand the set. So there are 46 themes for the different booster packs that are there. For each of these themes, there's 1 to 4 different scenarios. So for a given theme, some of them only have one specific deck, in which case you're guaranteed the cards in this one. For some other themes, there's 4 different variants with different rare cards, which makes it hard to acquire exactly the cards we want. Overall, there are 16 new mythic rare cards, 70 new rare cards that have never seen play in Historic before. There's also 7 reprinted mythic rare cards and 34 reprinted rares. Now I'm going to focus on the new sets that haven't seen play in Historic before, but if you haven't completed your play sets in M21, which is the case for me, then you will be interested in the reprinted mythic rares. Overall, this gives us 344 cards if we want to get a full play set of all the new mythic rares and new rare cards. And considering we'll get 4 to 5 rares upon entry in a jumpstart draft, or however you want to call this, then it means that it would take approximately 80 to 90 entries to complete that full play set of everything, which is a lot of entries. And that's assuming you get new stuff every single time. And since we don't have duplicate protection, this is very unlikely to happen. So we're talking over 100 entries of Jumpstart if you want to collect everything. And at some point you just will have to spend some wildcards. So that does not seem to be feasible to me. So what I'll be aiming for is to collect a playset of all the mythics. So if we focus on the mythic rares, then we can get 2 per run, if we get lucky with the 3 decks that are presented to us, or maybe 1.5 per run, because some of them are in one of the 4 decks for the team, so you just have a probability of getting those. In which case, it would take about 32 runs to get most of the mythics in 4 copies, protecting these very valuable mythic rare wildcards. Personally, I don't care quite as much about using a couple of rare wildcards because we have duplicate protection for normal packs, so you can actually start accumulating some wildcards by farming efficiently with drafts. So what I'm really worried about is limiting my use of mythic rare wildcards. Alright, so in order to do that, well, first of all, let's discuss the entry fee. So the entry fee is 2,000 gold, or 400 gems. As opposed to the other limited formats, which give you a discount on gems, this one does not. So the 200 gems for 1,000 gold, which is the typical conversion rate for a pack, stands true for JumpStart, which means that it's a format where you might as well use your gold. It's actually slightly more cost effective to use your gold and use your gems on real drafts or sealed or those types of events. Alright, so I've classified all the decks in 4 different categories. There's decks that have a guaranteed mythic rare. There's decks that have a chance of mythic. So the theme has a mythic rare in that theme, but it's not in every single deck. Then there's packs where we have mostly new rare cards, but no chance of mythic. And there's packs that are mostly reprints, which you want to avoid like the plague. Well, I want to avoid like the plague. If you don't really have those reprinted rare cards, they might be interested for you. So let's go over the packs that have guaranteed mythics. The 5 Planeswalker decks, from Basri to Teferi, all have a guaranteed mythic rare, as well as a guaranteed rare, which matches the Planeswalker. So if you have not completed your M21 set, these are very high value packs, because they give you that mythic rare. In particular, if you've been holding out on opening your packs because you're farming through draft and sealed, then you want to farm Jumpstart first in order to get those Planeswalkers, so that duplicate protection will allow you to have access to the other mythic rares in the set. There's also some new JumpStart sets that have guaranteed mythics. Angels, Elves, Milling, Rainbow, Unicorn, and Walls all have guaranteed mythics. So these are the ones that you'll want to prioritize, and you probably want to keep track of how many of these mythics you've gotten. And once you've completed the set, you wipe it out, and it becomes your lowest of the lowest in your tiers. Then we have the decks with Chance of Mythic, namely Dinosaur discarding Dragons, Enchanted, Heavily Armored, Lands, Minion, +1, Reanimated, Spellcasting, and Vampire. Note that the Mythic card at Dragons is the Terror of the Peaks, so that one has a reprint. The other ones are all new ones. You probably want to keep track of the number of Mythics you've gotten for each of these decks. And these are all the decks that contain the Mythic rare cards. So once you've covered all of these, you should have a playset of all the Mythic rare cards, and you should have a fair chunk of the rares, if that's up to where you want to farm. Now, if you're presented with another deck, and you don't have the option of picking a deck with a Mythic rare, then the decks to the left here are the decks that contain mostly rare cards. Mostly new rare cards. So these are still decks that you are interested in. In particular, I think Pirates has a guaranteed rare card of the new Pirate, so that one has no luck involved. Well, actually, there's two variants, but they both have the rare Pirate. So if you're interested in that card, you can pick it up from here. And then we have the mostly reprints. So these decks might have one or two new rare cards, but most of the different variants contain rare cards that are reprints. So these are the decks where you'll want to actually pick up the new rares by using the rare individual card rewards that are awarded for playing the games. Otherwise, you'll want to use your wildcards to actually fetch the cards that you care about, like the cool new land in the Wizards deck. It's not worth trying to pick the right Wizards deck that's going to have that rare card. Just aim for luck with the ICRs or use your wildcards there. So I'll post a list in the description with the list of decks and the rating from S, which would be Guaranteed Mythic, A, Chance of Mythic, B, mostly new rares, and C, mostly reprints, so that you have an idea and you can have that cheat sheet and use it to mark down the ones that you've completed, so that you know which decks are the most valuable from a farming perspective. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Leave your comment below and don't forget to subscribe to support this channel and keep the awesome videos coming.